Hello, everyone. My name is Caroline Passmore. I am the founder and profit strategist of CRP Specialists Inc. CRP Specialists Inc. is an advisory firm that specializes in the skilled trades that use a field service application, such as Service Titan, House Call Pro, Jobber, and many, many others. So today we are talking about the systems that will make your life a whole lot easier going into 2026. This is the time of year when people really start to tighten things up. But most of the issues that they run into in January and February are problems that could have been prevented now. Now, you don't need a dozen new tools or complicated dashboards. You just need a few core systems cleaned up and working the way they're supposed to. So, we're going to walk through three of these most important ones. That's cleaning up your field service app so that to QuickBooks connection and your price book, and setting up simple monthly job costing review schedule, and then building out your cash and tax plan for Q1 for next year. And these three will keep your business stable and give you a much smoother start for the year. So first, that app to QuickBooks Sync and the price book cleanup. So we're going to start here because it's really important part of if it's not clean, and everything else is harder than it needs to be. So your field app needs is only as accurate as the price book behind it. I mean, your products and services are huge. Now, if your items are outdated, duplicated, or priced incorrectly, it throws off your estimates, your invoices, job costing, and even worse, your reporting. So instead of making decisions based on real numbers, you end up really guessing. So this is the time to clean it up. Review all of those products and services in your price book, because you want to make sure that you actually sell what is reflected accurately. So make sure that the pricing is current. Make sure that your categories are consistent. That's big. And when everything matches between your field application and QuickBooks, the reporting really becomes super clean because your job costing becomes reliable, and then your revenue actually makes sense. Now, this one cleanup step will solve so many downstream problems that it's almost always the first place that I look, because that integration into QuickBooks is so very, very important. Now, the second system is your monthly job costing review. Now, not occasionally, and it's not something that we do when we feel something is just off. This should be done every single month. So your field application collects a huge amount of information, but if no one is reviewing it regularly, it just becomes noise instead of insight. And you want to see what your labor actually costs you that each month, what materials you used, which jobs performed well, and of course, which ones didn't. Now, you want to know if your pricing is holding or if something is just slowly slipping. So if you don't need, you don't need those complicated dashboards. Those dashboards are just overwhelming and have way too much information on them. So a simple set of KPIs is perfect. The same numbers reviewed consistently. That's revenue, gross profit, labor costs, materials, overhead, and then net profit. So I'll say it again. Revenue, gross profit, labor costs, materials, overhead, and net profit. When you look at these things monthly, you will spot patterns long before they become cash flow problems. Now, of course, that's not all we want to look at. Those are just some of the simple things that we want to look at so that you can keep a hold of what's going on. The rhythm of looking at these things alone on a monthly basis can change how confident you feel about your numbers. It's a simple, simple thing. Now, the third thing is the cash reserve and a tax plan for Q1. That's first quarter next year. Now, the last, eh, a lot of the businesses hit a wall in January because things slow down. Expenses stay the same, and taxes are starting to show up whether you are ready for it or not. And that's why you want to plan this stuff now, not after the year starts. So map out what your reserve needs to look like going into the new year. Decide what you're going to be setting aside for taxes. This is the time that you want to put that money aside if you haven't already been paying quarterly, especially. So if you know that you're going to be need to set aside money for taxes, make sure that even if you're guesstimating is obviously what you're going to be doing at this point, but make sure that you do it. Estimate what your first quarter revenue is likely to be. And that's big because we want to forecast what our first quarter revenue is likely to be based upon what you have earned in the past. And then you want to add a little percentage up and make sure you have enough cash to support payroll, materials, and then overhead without having that panic of whether you have enough cash to support these things. Now, when you do this ahead of time, January stops feeling like chaos. And then you start the year with structure instead of scrambling to get ahead. Now, those are just the few systems that I want you to lock in before the year end. That's three. That's three simple things. They're very simple but powerful, and they make a huge, huge difference in your year end and your first quarter of the next year. So when your data is clean, your job costing is consistent, your cash plan is absolutely clear, and then you walk into 2026 with confidence instead of stress. Now, none of these steps are overwhelming. They're practical, they're doable, and they directly support how your business runs every single day. This is the work that makes next year smoother than this one. And that's not by accident, but because you set yourself up for it. Now, I wanted to share that beginning in next year, 2026, for in January, we're going to be launching a new community within Circle. This is going to be where we'll be sharing our these lives and also giving more detailed information in other lives. So there's going to be a whole lot more information. There's going to be reference pages, reference information, a lot of content, and then also my team will be very interactive in as well as myself within that community. So it'll be a great place for you to come join us, ask questions, especially if you have questions about your business, about your books, all of those things. This is where I want this to be an amazing community for both my clients, my current clients, and then other skilled construction trades business owners who simply want to learn more tips, more tricks to help them to understand their books. So watch out for the announcement coming at the beginning of January in 2026, because this is going to be some fun, exciting stuff coming. Anyways, I hope all of this helped. If you need any additional assistance with any of these things that I just talked about, feel free to reach out to me in Facebook Messenger. I'm happy to have a conversation. I'm also happy to set up some time to talk. If you want to just have a conversation and want to schedule a Zoom call, feel free to let me know that, and we can do that as well. So I hope you all have an amazing, wonderful rest of your day, because that is the intent for everybody. My truly wonderful clients I adore, and all of you in my audience have the best day possible.